Hello everybody, it's Fed again, and thank you for watching the previous video. This here is a follow-up video. First of all, let's get out of the way. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos and want to get notified. And follow me on Twitter. Okay, let's get to it. So, major hype on Metal Gear Solid on GOG. I want to clarify one thing is that Metal Gear Solid on PC has been out for a long time. It is not released on any digital platform at all, other than GOG. Probably because GOG has gotten an exclusive, and they worked on a wrapper, meaning Konami did nothing. So that's just it. Second, the game works with keyboard and controller. The implementation of it, or let's just say the button mapping are a little bit horrible in both games, both 1 and 2. I did, but this here will only take in consideration 1. I might make a video on 2 later. First of all, let's go through things. First of all, I'm using a PlayStation 4 controller hooked up with a direct connection to my PC. What I have is a Brooks super converter in between that is translating this here to be an official Microsoft Xbox One controller. The only difference is that the emulation of the Xbox One controller is done through hardware, or technically hardware / software, which is also in the Brooks converter. The reason why that is that I use this here setup is because many games, and I play multiple games with the controller, mainly keyboard and mouse if the game suits me, that don't understand what X input is, which is the driver that is used for any other controller than the native Microsoft controller. That has a built-in Xbox driver that works flawlessly. And that also means the default buttons here will be mapped technically as a Xbox controller. We can see it if we go ahead and first of all, let's boot it. Before we do it, we can see it. I'll show you a later. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to try to keep this video really short. Don't want to get it too long. So I have Metal Gear Solid installed. The first thing you want to do is go up here and say manage installation and show folder. And the reason for that is this here is key. This is where you set your configuration for how DirectX is going to work. For Metal Gear Solid, there is the same, or Metal Gear Solid 2, sorry, there's the same, but there's an extra thing because Metal Gear Solid 2 came later, and they actually make a deeper integration for PC with that. And there you can actually map buttons inside of this here before you even launch the game. And I highly recommend you do that. So first set your settings here. If you already know, GOG has a lot of these here. This is how they wrap it mostly. This is pretty common for most GOG games. But that's just how it works. If you're new to it, this here. And this is also where you can see the exit file and you can launch all that. And there's a launcher right here. But okay. So that's the first thing you want to do. Oh, forgot to show you. Let's show you. I can actually show you the Metal Gear 1 and 2. So here, do the same thing. Show folder. This here is a little bit different. You need to go into bin file, and there you actually will have a config file, and there you can see options here. So key configuration. So the reason why I want to show you this here is the easiest way to get into native. You can see this here is a control Xbox One controller. And the properties for it, and here. So that's how it works. Okay, let's get to Metal Gear Solid 1. So you just bought this here, or are thinking of buying, and you hear all these here rumors, or listen, or see, or read that this here does, the keyboards are horrible and doesn't work. That is correct. The mappings are BS from the get-go. GOG has done a horrible job not replicating the original PS1 controls. And you need to remember this here was technically meant for, or the PS1 controls, when you play them, it is more meant, it was before Sony made their own standard of how button mapping should be, so it was more of a Nintendo style. So all inputs for the B button or the circle, depending on which controller you use, will be the one that is an action button, whereas this here will be crouch, and this here will be fire, this here will be first person, and these here will be here. And you also need to remember this here is a PlayStation 1 controller. That means this here analog will not be used. There is officially no R2 or L2. That's something that came later. So you need to remember that, and that's why the inputs are a little bit wonky. I don't know why this here. I actually suspect that they launched this here with maybe one of the testers or one of the dev setups, that how he plays it or whatever, and they never reset it. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. But let's boot the game up. And I also want to quickly notice, mouse can be used, but you need to map it, and I will not recommend it. It's a horrible experience. This here game has always been meant to be played with a controller or keyboard mainly. Lastly, regarding the Mantis Fight in the game, and spoiler alert for people who do not know this and want to know this, skip ahead around 20 seconds. The Mantis Fight will not switch over to a second controller. If you hook that up, you need to use the keyboard. That is the second controller to figure the Mantis Fight out. Spoiler ending. You can beat Mantis without doing that. And that's all I'm gonna say. I've done it. It takes a long time, a lot of practice, but you can do it. You can't do it without doing this here thing. Okay. As you can see right now, I'm using circle here and X to go back. That is the Nintendo design of their own setup, how inputs work before PS1. As you can see, up and down works. So my mappings are already set. I'll show you how you do it. So, one thing you need to remember, in Metal Gear Solid 2, if you purchase that also, you can use analog and D-pad. In Metal Gear Solid 1, you cannot, I cannot get it to work to register both. And there's only mappings for one type. So it's either one of these. I'm gonna load a game. Okay, so as you can see here, D-pad, X, circle, square, R2, L2, R1, R1, L1. Okay. D-pad, not working. Okay. So, how do we do this here? So, you go into controller options, and that's pretty much it. For some reason, the controller does not register in here. If you hit square, X, triangle, anything, it will not let you do anything. So you need to use your keyboard with this here. And that's pretty much what you do. So what is mostly broken is actually this here. All this here. If you restore to default, which I'm going to do here. This is how it's set up by default. And apply and continue. So our still works. Suddenly R1 is zoom in or first person view. R2 does nothing, or L2 does nothing. L1 zooms in. R1 is what's it called? The codec, and also is mapped to this here. So yeah, and you can technically walk also. So there's a lot of things here that is wrong. So it's totally broken. Totally weird setup. Okay, first person view. That needs to be triangle for me. You can see that was weapon. Weapon should be square. And I'm giving you, these here are the PlayStation 1 setups. Action should be circle. Crawl should be X. Now here's the tricky part. There's a bug here. So you need to reverse these. So switch item is the one where you hold it in because it has that shift up. Or no, it's the other way around. So let's do this here. So switch item I like to have on L1. And I like to have switch weapon on L2. Inventory items. This is where it gets tricky. If I set into inventory items to L2, which it should be, you can see it says axis Z down. That is the registration, what happens from the Microsoft controller, and this is the input that it gives the game. And this here will be Z up. This here is the radio button. I want to hit that for the PlayStation 4 controller. That's option for me. And everything is okay. Apply. Continue. Now we're in this here horrible mode here. So let's, because there is actually no log game, yes. So there's also button mapping for permanent zoom from the looks of it, but I don't know. That is not mapped in here, as you can see. So that, yeah, I'm guessing it probably is registering that the first person view is permanent. I don't know, bug, but we're still going to go ahead with that and continue. Okay, this here works. Option is now correct. X square or X circle, square, first person view, triangle, L1, R1. I don't have a thing map. And now you see here, now things are wonky. So for some reason, first of all, let's go get a weapon. So R1 is working, but L1, we set that to item. That's weapon. And this here is set to item, so you need to reverse those. I don't know why, but I don't know if it's an original bug from the game, but it is. So the last thing we're going to do here is switch those around. So that needs to be up and that needs to be down. And now it should work. This here is the menu pause button. I use the button 10, which is the logo. I don't use the share button. I want this one here. Apply. And that means that suddenly when you hit this here, it goes into the menu. Okay. So now when I hit L2, now it's right. Now I hit R2 is right. And that's pretty much it what you need to do. You need to mess around with this here. So when you start the game up, just skip everything, do the controls. Or before you launch the game, go into options and do the controls. Let's actually skip out. Quit to main menu. Nope. Again, options, go into controls and do that. And again, since there is a fight that requires your keyboard later on, please set the keyboard controls also. And again, keyboard controls will be the following. X and 4. And the only difference is when you use the keyboard, it goes over to the keyboard section. If you use the controller, it goes over to the controller section. So you can't split between. Okay, can you use mouse? Yes, because it says mouse left. I just moved my mouse. Do I recommend it? No. Okay, can you use D-pad? Yes, D-pad. POV 790. Just hit my D-pad. Do I recommend it? Well, if you like it, that's great. But I am more of a with this here, I'm more of a analog guy because I remember playing it like that. So let's go back. That's pretty much it. I hope everybody liked this here video. So I hope that it works for you. The game is, as I said, has been out for many years. This here is the integral version. This here is a repackage of the game that was released on CD-ROM. It is not a remake. You have better options. You can scale it up. Again, the game will not look pure. You have your bars, but that's it. Until later, guys. I'm Fett.